Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to episode 104 of the Prosperous Yogini Podcast. 104 episodes, and today's episode is special because it is the season finale. This is the end of season one. I have been podcasting for 2 years now. I can't believe it, and it just seems so right that today's episode I share with you guys the impact, what I have learned from podcasting every week for 2 years, because podcasting might not be for you. And that's fine. It's not for everyone. But the lessons that I've learned in podcasting, turning up every week, just committing to this, they are universal. They apply, to all areas of our business, but we like to separate business and life. And ultimately, it's all part of the interconnected whole that is you. These are lessons for life, for business and life. So next week's episode will be episode 1, season 2. Technically, old money, old counting, 105. One reason why I thought I need to move into a season 2 was I can't keep remembering these numbers. And in the podcasting world, you can find podcasts that are like up into the 600-700s, and then you can see podcasters that clearly have defined seasons. I'll be totally honest, I'm making it up as I go along. I am leaning into what feels right. And I have, to be honest, pretty much run my business like that since day dot. Yeah, and I think everyone, to be honest, on the topic of making it up as you go along, that's everyone who's self-employed. That's a topic for another day. It also seems poignant to have a new season 2, because I feel like I am moving into a new season. To be honest, I feel like I'm having this coming out phase. So very much when I started the Prosperous Yogini podcast 2 years ago, I was very much just a yoga teacher. I was running weekly classes. I was running training courses, and I had been business mentoring yoga teachers one-to-one. And I was moving into taking my one-to-one offers into a group program, and really sort of like this feeling of like when in my one-to-one work, I was just repeating myself all the time. I was working with all these wonderful women with these amazing skills, and they were crippled. They were crushed by lack of self-belief, lack of confidence, poor money mindset, tiny little bit of like business knowledge missing. But the general vibe was their mindset, their energy was just blocking them from sharing their wonderful gifts with the world. And I just got upset. I was like, I can't carry on just working with this tiny, small group of people, women who all seem to have the same problem. I need to do something about this. I need to help more people. So that's why I started the podcast, and that's why I launched my Prosperous Yogini group mentoring program for yoga teachers. But the focus was very much on yoga teachers, and you can dive into a lot of the episodes, sort of like pre 50, 60, like they are very yoga teacher specific. But if you go and look for all the episodes, you can see that it does start to shift. It's really interesting, because I start to realize that the advice that I'm giving to yoga teachers around money mindset work, and navigating our beautiful brain, compassionate expansion, nervous system regulation, money mindset, the programming, the patriarchal system that is all laid on top of us to stop us from shining our light into the world. I started to realize that this isn't just about yoga teachers. And like the universe has this great way of kind of like nudging you. So like I'm very much like, no, I'm a yoga teacher trainer. I've got my mentorship program for yoga teachers. This is what I do. And then just like little things start to happen, conversations with people that aren't yoga teachers, people approaching me that like, I'm not a yoga teacher, but have you got something that you can help me with? And just sort of like thinking, gosh, I'm starting to work beyond the remit of just helping yoga teachers. And you can see this in the podcast. And you can see many of the episodes start to not necessarily be yoga teacher specific, although there are still some great yoga teacher specific episodes in there. And that is a real reflection on what was happening to me, like in my business, and how things were shifting for me. And as I talk to you now at episode 104, ready to launch next week into season 2, I feel like I have finally, and it has taken me an awful long time to just sort of like come out and say this, that I'm not just a yoga teacher trainer anymore. I'm also a business and energy mentor. I help soul-led female entrepreneurs share their gifts with the world and make money. And that absolutely is still yoga teachers, because yoga teachers are soul-led entrepreneurs. We choose to teach yoga, we choose to train as yoga teachers because we have this deep passion and connection for the practice of yoga. We can know what it does for our lives, we've seen what it can do for other people, and we want to help people. We're a soul-led entrepreneur. We want to share our gifts, our skills and knowledge with the world. But alongside this, like, ain't no one working for free in today, the way we live in the capitalist, society. We still have bills to pay, food to put on the table, and there is so much entangled in, like, women full stop, earning money, wanting to earn money from their skills, their gifts and their training. And I cannot stand by any longer. I cannot stand by any longer and watch events unfold in the wider world and in my small, reality, my friends, my family around me, and the women I work with. I cannot stand by any longer and watch us all keep ourselves small, worry so much about what other people think, if we stand up and say, this is who I am, this is what I do, this is what I'm good at. And yeah, you know what? I'm going to charge this because I want to make money. I want this to be profitable. I want this to be sustainable. I put a post out on social media just a few days ago, and it was that was from my heart. That was like burned into my soul. But this is what I want to say to you all as listeners. What would, and I'm going to change that from what would, what will, because I refuse to believe a different reality. What will the world look like when there's more money in the hands of women? What will the world look like? Yeah. I don't want to get political, but I'm pretty sure we won't be dropping bombs on children. Moving on from that, I don't want to take this podcast down into that political news that I don't watch the news, but it's impossible to ignore. And like, it's heartbreaking, isn't it? And it's so easy in the face of adversity and such horrific news to lose hope, to fall into the fear or fall into that, there's nothing I can do. And I work really, really hard to go, what, my mission, what feels like my soul mission, and this is like me coming out, right? My soul mission is to help anyone. It's going to be predominantly female, I won't lie, because I think they're the ones I vibe with, but look, anybody else who wants to join in, to help anyone who, kind-hearted, conscious people who want to share their gifts with the world, help people and make money. And then with an abundance of time and an abundance of money, you can do what you want with it. But that's where I'm at. So I'm coming out. It literally feels like this. So yes, business and energy mentor, yoga teacher trainer. So along with my fantastic programs, training courses that I have for yoga teachers, you are going to see quite a bit of new stuff is both in person and online. That's the other shift that's happened. I love my work online, and that isn't going anywhere because it allows me to reach a much wider audience than I could do if I was just working in person all the way down here in the southwest of England. But I also love working in person, and I think COVID caused us to forget that, or caused me to forget that. And as I'm like, feel like I'm coming out, waking up, I'm like, what, I love the in-person work too. And can it be hybrid, and can it be both for me? And those are the things that are like causing me to create new offers, both in person and online. So it's like, watch this space. And it's like a really imminent watch this space, because before I get any further into today's episode, next Friday the 14th of June, I'm having a party and you are invited. In fact, I really, really please accept my invitation, my listeners, because I'm doing this for you guys. You'll see the link in the show notes to join, sign up for the podcast party, and you get to submit me a Q&A, a question. The whole next week's episode, season 2, episode 1, will be a Q&A call answering your questions about your business. So I'm offering my help for free. Also, podcasting is a lonely life. God knows how many hours I've spent talking to myself. But if you can attend live, I would love you to see you there live. You don't have to unmute and chat and be part of it, but you could do. We did it last year and it's one of my favorite episodes. I don't think all my episodes, I think it's about every episode, but anyway, it is genuinely one of my favorite episodes. I absolutely love answering your questions. Human design, I'm a generator, and my authority is to respond, and I get most lit up when I'm responding to your questions. Okay, so please sign up. You don't have to attend live, but if you'd like to ask me a question, you do have to sign up, and I would love to see you live. Okay, so you can see, so like from that first bit of a ramble of today's episode, that the podcast has evolved as I've evolved. So what have I, learned from 2 years of podcasting? Consistency. We hear about this all the time. You've got to show up. You've got to be consistent. There's a great episode on consistency. Don't ask me what number it is. But consistency is king. Consistency is absolutely vital for you to call in your dreams, to your success. Okay. But you can only be consistent at something you really want to do. You can only be consistent at something that you love. Okay. And I absolutely love talking. I absolutely love helping people. And this is why, right at the start of this podcast episode, I said, you don't have to start a podcast. It might not be for you. Like you're not going to see me blogging a lot. Writing isn't my strong point. I am on Instagram and I do use Instagram, but I'll be totally honest, I don't spend that much time crafting beautiful reels or any of that stuff. I don't spend a lot of time digging into my analytics and my data. Like, I do care, but I don't care. But because I don't want to spend that much time on it, it doesn't light me up that much. But turning up to you guys every week with my podcast has been an absolute joy, a non-negotiable in my diary. And because of that, I've been able to be consistent. Consistency has been the byproduct of it. So with Instagram, I have my bare minimums. I know what they are for me, and I don't force myself beyond that. So consistency is king, but you've got to honor your energy, the time that you have available. This is the other thing. It might be like, I really love doing this, but I'm really pushed for time. Well, maybe you can't podcast every week. Maybe you can podcast once a month. Maybe you can't send out a weekly email, but maybe you could do one once a month. And look, on that topic of weekly email, if you are posting frequently on social media, you've got absolutely no excuse not to repurpose that content into an email. More people will see it. Anyway, I have done quite a few episodes on get an email list. I will leave that one there for now. So consistency is king, but consistency is a byproduct of doing what lights you up. Because the consistency has then taught me this. When you start anything new, you're a beginner. So when I did my trailer on episode 1, 2, whatever, I was a beginner. I didn't have any listeners. Yes, I had an audience, but even a podcast audience. I had no experience of podcasting. You have to, when you start anything new, allow yourself to be a beginner, allow yourself to be at ground zero, allow yourself to be consistent, being in the vibration that over time it will grow. And I think a lot of us at the start of our business, Actually, this is interesting. Twofold here. A lot of us that start with our business find this incredibly frustrating because we wanna see results. We want to see people buying our courses, buying our products, buying our services. Yeah, if you've got a very, very small audience, the bottom line is you need to grow that audience, and more people know about your services and the products, and therefore you'll make more sales. And unless you're driving large amount of money into ads, we all start from zero. We all got to put in the time when it comes to organic audience growth. But consistency comes from just knowing that this is what I'm here for. This is what I want to do. And I'm just going to be here for the long game. The other time when starting something new can cause entrepreneurs, a real problem is when we're quite established. And we don't want to start anything new because you've got to start from the beginning again. So I had that feeling a little bit with the podcast. I had my Instagram and I was selling my online courses. And I was established in what I was doing. Yeah, brand new to podcasting. And I could have easily gone, I don't want to be a beginner at that. I don't want to have only like 10 downloads one week. But you have to allow yourself to be a beginner. This comes though all from Patanjali non-attachment. I am non-attached to the outcome. I am not turning up to this podcast every week because I want 10,000 downloads, 100,000 downloads. I'm turning up to this podcast every week because I want to help as many people as I can. And I'm just open to the possibility of people finding that. Obviously, I don't just sit around at home and not tell anyone about my podcast, but I'm also I've never looked at the data and gone, oh, that's a shame not more people have listened to that. That's a shame I haven't got more downloads. Like I haven't made 10,000 downloads. I wanted to, like a few months ago, I was like, I could get to the 10,000 download mark before my 2-year birthday. And like, I'm just over 9,000. You know what? That's amazing. 9,000 downloads. And that doesn't count the people who listen to it on YouTube. So it is more. So the other thing I've learned, as well as consistency being king, allowing myself to be a beginner, and in that growing from zero, getting things wrong, having a few duff episodes, non-attached to the outcome, just putting it out into the world without an expectation of this will yield these results, celebrating every single download. What we focus on expands. If I'm like, I only got 10 downloads this week, that's not great. How does that energy sound to, oh my God, 10 people downloaded my podcast, 10 people listened to me this week. I'm excited for this to grow. Can you hear the energetic difference? Energy is everything. Okay, energy is everything. The power of connection and community before sales. My business 100% has grown since I started my podcast. Now I've done other things. I have worked more closely with business coaches. I've brought in someone to help me with my Facebook ads. I'm very small ad budget, and I've used someone to like support me in that. So there has been other things, absolutely, and I've continued to focus on growing my email list, continue to commit to my bare minimums on Instagram. But my business has grown quite significantly in the last 2 years. And I do think this podcast has massively contributed to it. And for you guys, this is the power of connection and community before sales. Because I read somewhere that it takes someone on average 7 to 14 touch points before they're going to part with money with you. And what's really interesting about that is you think there might be a difference between someone that's selling something for like £9 versus, let's say £2,000. Actually, no, like when we're parting with money, when we're making that emotional choice to purchase something, all right, when it's the smaller, cheaper purchase, we might be less, I'll give this a go. We might be more in that vibration. But generally speaking, people emotionally need to feel ready, feel connected to the person that they're buying the service product off. And if they don't know who you are, And yeah, they could go on your website and read your about page, but they're really unlikely to do that, by the way. If they don't know who they are and they can't, like, go onto your Instagram and get an energetic vibe for you, maybe seen you a few times show up on Instagram, if they've not on your newsletter and they've not heard you chat about things, they don't know who you are, it's going to be much harder for them to make that choice to purchase from you. So the podcast for me, like, I get so many people now when they purchase one of my courses, like, oh, I feel like I already know you, Amy, I've been listening to your weekly podcast. The power of connection, community before sales, which means when I start at zero, when I'm starting at the beginning to grow that community, to grow my connection, or if I'm making a new offer into a new group of people, which I've definitely, when I started the podcast, I've definitely that new offer into business mentoring for yoga teachers. And now I'm entering into a much wider sphere of business and energy mentoring for soul-led entrepreneurs. I'm going to allow myself to be a beginner. I'm going to allow myself to be at the beginning. I'm going to allow myself to turn up every week and let things grow, because 2 years of podcasting, I now know that's what happens. And it's so exciting, guys. This is so exciting because this is available for you too. We just got to allow ourselves to be at the beginning and give ourselves time, allow things to grow. What doesn't need to happen by Friday? That urgency, this has got to happen now. Does it? Like, yeah, absolutely. If you've got to, like, make some money, put some food on the table and so on and so forth, then I get it, right? But if you're in that beginning phase with an offer, a product, a business, or something new in your business, don't put the pressure on that new thing to be the success, to be paying your bills. Like, have something else, part-time job or a rock solid offer that sells. Have something else that is generating the money that you need by Friday, so then you can be in the vibration of letting that go. The other thing that I've learned is just the sheer joy of helping people, the exchange of me giving my time for free, because this is what this is. Like, it takes me, depends how long I chat for, between like 1 to 2 hours to do my podcast each week, because I record it and I upload it to YouTube. I write some really sparse show notes. I send it to hubby. He then puts it out onto Apple and Spotify. It's a couple of hours a week of my time. And I give this for free, happily, willingly, with nothing expected in return. And when I get those messages from people, I've listened to your podcast, it's really helped in this, it's really helped in this, I love your podcast, it completely lights me up. It completely lights me up. As much as it does when someone comes into my world and buys something from me because they've listened to the podcast. That knowing, that joy of helping people with my guests is, it's heartwarming. And also, I think when I started the podcast, you have those fears of, I'm giving quite a lot of advice away for free here. Will that mean that people won't buy stuff? No, there's a completely different energy exchange. And I have learned, I absolutely give you free advice and help you, but there's stuff that you're only ever going to get behind a paywall. So there you go. 2 years of podcasting. Consistency is king, literally. Be in it for the long game, but consistency comes from doing what lights you up, from what you love, from like, there ain't nothing gonna stop you. There ain't nothing that's going to stop me helping as many women as I physically can create profitable, sustainable, impactful businesses, create more wealth, more abundance in the lives of women, because I know the ripple effect is going to have on the world that I want to see. Be a beginner. Be shit at it. Have no followers. Just show up every week. And it's actually showing up like you have got like hundreds of thousands of people following you. And like I always say to people who start their first online course, I was like, run it like you've made a 6-7 figure launch. Run it like there's 100 people in there. Run it like there's 1,000 people in it. You got 2 signups. Run it with the same energy as if you had 100, because that's how you call in more. power of connection is massive. It is difficult because we hear about, you got to create content and you got to, give value. Do you know, some of it really annoys me because I feel like it's like, you've got to give your stuff away for free. And we're back into women over giving, over delivering, undercharging and burning out. No, that is not what we've got to do. You've got to open a door, and it's like just a little crack. You've got to open a door so people can look into you, look into what it is you're about, what you look like, what you sound like, what you stand for. And it only has to be a little crack, but you've got to give something and give it in a way that you like to do it. So if you like writing, start a blog, start a Substack, focus on your email newsletter. If you like video, use YouTube, but you might as well podcast as well. If you like writing, email newsletter. If you like making short videos, well, go for it on Instagram and TikTok, right? But make sure you bring them onto your email list as well, because social media is borrowed land. The joy of helping people. Like, honestly, guys, before all of that stuff that I've just listed, knowing that people are downloading and listening to this podcast, knowing that is helping you work differently, work more efficiently, work better, bring more money, bring more time into your lives, and the ripple effect that will have for the people around you lights me up. And what I want to say for season 2 is just let's go more of this. In my coming out, I feel like I am going to be a little bit more frank on like my beliefs around money, around how women, in general, we have been conditioned, programmed for like, thousands of years. None of this is easy, to just keep ourselves small, to repel money. It's 2024 and it's got to change. That is like the statistics on and we don't all have to be billionaires, but like, it doesn't matter where you look. The statistics on how many women are billionaires, it's about 12%. The statistics that in every country, men statistically earn more than women. And I think in the UK, I think we get to either October or November, and then basically the gender pay gap means women are working for free. And I'm like, I have a little girl, I have a boy as well. Like, this imbalance in the energy of money serves no one. Doesn't help men, doesn't help women, doesn't help humanity. So Prosperous Yogini Podcast season 2 is going to be for soul-led entrepreneurs who are looking to energetically, so this is nervous system regulation, working with the subtle energy, energetically work with the feminine yin subtle energy, work with the nervous system so we can compassionately expand. Because there's no good me saying to you, look, just double your prices, 10x your prices, and you're like, oh, no way, Amy. That's not going to help any of us. That is not going to help any of us, but it does help me for you to help you to work with those feminine energies, to work with the intuition, to connect to your higher self, connect to universal intelligence, connect to this guidance system that will help us shed all this stuff. I mean, don't even get me started on the witch wound. Shed all of this stuff, so we then take action that is way more aligned with what we're being called to do. And in that place, it's this flow state where all of a sudden, things just seem to happen. People seem to be buying your more expensive offers and services. Opportunities seem to be coming your way. It is magic. I use this word magic a lot, but it is magic. And the best thing about it is it's available for us all. It ain't easy, but it's available for us all. That's what I'm here for. So I will see you next week. Please sign up to that party, and please answer me a question, because next week's episode is that Q&A where I'm asking your questions about your business. Free business advice. Yes, I will tell you to put up your prices. All right, my darlings, and on that note, I'll see you all next week for season 2.